Valshara found Daniel on the observation deck that evening. Her colors were troubled, shifting in anxious patterns that the translation device called deep concern. "Miffin spoke to you," she said. "It was not a question." "He did," Daniel admitted. "He warned me to stay away from you." Valshara's colors darkened. "He is dangerous, Daniel. More dangerous than you know. His family has great power in the Dominion. If you anger him, he could make your life very difficult. I am not afraid of him." "You should be." Valshara stepped closer. "He has destroyed others who got in his way. Rivals, servants, anyone who displeased him, and his family protects him. They cover up his crimes because his political value is too great." Daniel felt the weight of her words. But he had faced threats before. On Earth, he had worked with people fleeing dangerous partners. He had received threats, been followed, been attacked once. He had learned that some things were more important than safety. "Valshara," he said gently, "I cannot just walk away. Not after what I have seen." Her colors flickered with something the device did not translate. It looked almost like wonder. "Why?" she asked. "Why do you care what happens to me? We are not the same species. We barely know each other." "What do you gain from helping me?" Daniel thought about the question. He had asked himself the same thing many times. "When I was young," he said, "my sister was in a bad relationship. Everyone could see she was unhappy, but they told her to be patient, to try harder, to give him another chance. Nobody helped her. Nobody stood up for her." He paused. "It took her years to escape, and by then, she was broken in ways that never fully healed." Valshara was silent. Her colors had gone very still. "I promised myself I would never look away again," Daniel continued. "I would never pretend not to see when someone was suffering, even if it was not my place, even if it was dangerous, even if it made people uncomfortable. And that is why you spoke to me," Valshara said slowly. "That first night. You saw my pain, and you could not pretend you did not." "Yes." Valshara looked at him with new eyes. Her colors shifted to something soft and warm. "Among my people," she said, "there is an old phrase. The stars shiver, but they do not see. It means that the universe is vast and cold and does not care about our small lives. We are alone in our suffering because even the stars look away." Daniel nodded. Humans have similar sayings. Valshara moved closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "But you human? Saw my soul?" She made it a question, a challenge. A hope. Daniel met her eyes. "I saw someone who deserves better than what she has been given. I saw someone brave enough to keep going, even when everything feels hopeless. I saw someone real." Valshara's colors bloomed with light. The device struggled to translate. The closest it could manage was overwhelming gratitude mixed with sorrow. "No one has ever seen me like this," she said. "Not even my family. They see the princess. They see the daughter. They see the political asset. But they do not see me." "Then they are blind," Daniel said simply. Valshara laughed. It was a real laugh, full of surprise and relief. "You speak so plainly. Most species wrap their words in layers of meaning, but you just say what you think. It saves time." It is refreshing. Valshara's colors settled into calm patterns. Then she grew serious again. "Daniel, I need to ask you something. It is a great deal to ask, and I will understand if you say no." "Ask." Valshara took a deep breath. "Among my people, there is an old tradition. During a bonding ceremony, a witness may speak. The witness is someone trusted, someone from outside the bonding pair. If the witness perceives deception or falsehood in either partner, they may challenge the bonding." Daniel's heart began to beat faster. "You want me to be your witness?" "Yes." Valshara's colors showed fear and hope together. "If you stand as witness and speak what you truly see, you could stop the bonding." You could show everyone what Mython really is. And what happens if they do not believe me? Then the bonding proceeds, and you will be punished for insulting a noble house. Velshar's voice was heavy. It is not a small risk. But you are the only one who can see the truth. The only one who might make them believe. Daniel understood what she was asking. She was asking him to put his career, his safety, maybe his life on the line for her. A princess he had known for less than a week. An alien from a species that viewed humans as primitive. He should say no. Every smart part of his brain told him to refuse. But then he remembered her colors when she thought no one was watching. The dark blues and deep purples. The loneliness that had no words. When is the ceremony? He asked. Velshar's colors exploded with light. In 3 days. Then I have 3 days to prepare. Daniel smiled grimly. I hope your people are ready to hear some uncomfortable truths. Velshara moved forward and did something that surprised him. She placed her hand over his heart. The touch was warm, and her colors wrapped around them both like a soft light. Thank you, she whispered. Whatever happens, thank you for seeing me. Daniel placed his hand over hers. I will not let you down. That night, Admiral Lisa Hendricks called Daniel to her office. The Admiral was a serious woman with sharp eyes and gray hair. She commanded the human diplomatic vessel Horizon's Edge and was responsible for all human personnel on the station. Close the door, she said when Daniel entered. He did. The Admiral's face was not happy. I have heard some interesting rumors, she said. Rumors about a junior attach getting involved with a Kyrene princess. Rumors about standing as a witness in a royal bonding ceremony. She leaned forward. Tell me these rumors are wrong. Daniel stood straight. I cannot do that, Admiral. Hendricks closed her eyes. Do you have any idea what you are risking? If this goes badly, it could damage human relations with the Kyrene for decades. We could lose trade agreements. Military cooperation. Everything we have built. I understand the risks. Then why? Hendricks demanded. Why throw it all away for one alien princess? Daniel thought of Velshara's colors. The pain she hid. The hope she tried to keep alive. Because she asked for help, he said. And I can see she is afraid. And if we stop caring about individual suffering just to keep the peace, we have lost what makes us human. Admiral Hendricks stared at him for a long moment. Her expression was unreadable. Then, slowly she nodded. You are either very brave or very stupid, she said. Probably both. She sighed. I cannot officially support what you are doing, but I will not stop you either. Just try not to start a war. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. I will do my best. Daniel Carter stood near the large window of the Galactic Unity Station and watched ships arrive from every corner of the galaxy. The station was huge. It floated in neutral space where no empire had power. Every 10 years, hundreds of species came here to talk about peace and trade. Daniel had been here for 3 months as a junior diplomatic attach, and he still felt small among all these aliens. He was not important. The senior diplomats made the real decisions. Daniel's job was to watch, listen, and report anything unusual. Before joining the diplomatic corps, he had worked as a trauma counselor on Earth. He had spent years learning to read people, to see the pain they tried to hide. That skill followed him to the stars. Today was special. The Kyrene delegation was arriving. The Kyrene were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. They looked almost like humans, but their skin glowed with soft light. Colors moved across their bodies like slow fire. These colors were their language. Every shade and pattern meant something. Happy, sad, angry, lying, telling truth. Translation devices read these colors and turn them into words that other species could understand. Daniel watched the Kyrene ship dock. It was beautiful, covered in gold and silver metals that caught the light. When the doors opened, The Kyrene walked out in perfect formation. Their colors shifted in formal patterns that the translation devices called greetings of peace and respect. At the center of the group walked the royal family. The king and queen moved with pride. Behind them came 3 daughters. The eldest 2 had colors that burned bright with confidence. But the third daughter was different. Princess Valshara Kyrene. Daniel noticed her immediately. Not because she was beautiful, though she was. He noticed her because of what he saw beneath her formal colors. His translation device showed the same polite patterns as the others. But Daniel's eyes caught something the machine missed. Deep under her bright public colors, there was a darker shade. It was hidden, almost invisible dot. It looked like sadness. The diplomats rushed forward to greet the Kyrene king. Daniel stayed back. He was not important enough to speak with royalty, but he kept watching the princess. She smiled when she was supposed to smile. Her colors shifted in proper patterns. Yet that hidden darkness never went away. Nobody else seemed to notice. The welcome ceremony took hours. Daniel stood against the wall, watching everything. Ambassador Kevin Torres, his mentor, gave a long speech about friendship between species. The Kyrene king responded with colors that painted pictures of peace and cooperation. Everyone clapped and made sounds of approval. Daniel kept watching the princess. When the ceremony ended, the crowd moved to a great hall for food and drinks. Daniel took a glass of water and found a quiet corner. He did not like crowded places. Too many emotions in the air made his head hurt. He decided to take a walk. The observation deck on level 7 was empty. Daniel liked it here. The window showed nothing but stars, endless and quiet. He leaned against the railing and let out a long breath. Then he heard footsteps. Princess Valshara walked onto the deck. She did not see him at first. She moved to the window and stood there, looking at the stars. And then something changed. Her colors shifted. The formal patterns melted away. The bright political shades faded. What remained was the truth she had been hiding. Dark blues and deep purples moved across her skin. The translation device in Daniel's ear was silent. It did not recognize these colors. To the machine, they were just noise. But Daniel recognized them. Grief, loneliness, fear, desperation. The princess was drowning in emotions. She could not show anyone. Daniel did not move. He did not want to scare her, but his foot made a small sound against the floor. Valshara turned fast. Her eyes went wide. In 1 second, her formal colors snapped back into place. The hidden truth vanished behind a wall of proper patterns. "I apologize," Daniel said softly. "I did not mean to disturb you." Valshara stared at him. Her translation device turned her colors into words. "It is no disturbance. I was simply enjoying the view." Her voice was calm. Her colors were proper. But Daniel had already seen the truth. He could have pretended. He could have nodded and walked away. That would have been the smart thing to do. The political thing. But Daniel had spent too many years helping people who were hurting. He could not look at someone in pain and pretend he saw nothing. "The view was beautiful," he said, "but lonely." Valshara went very still. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The stars burned silently outside the window. Daniel waited. He had learned long ago that sometimes people needed time to decide if they could trust you. Finally, Valshara spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper, and her colors stayed carefully controlled. "What do you mean, human?" Daniel chose his words carefully. "I mean that sometimes the most beautiful places are where we go to feel our sadness alone." Valshara's eyes searched his face. Daniel saw confusion there. And something else. Hope, maybe. Or fear of hope. "You cannot know what I feel," she said. "Your device cannot read our private wavelengths. No outside species can. The device cannot, Daniel agreed. But I can. Valshara took a step back. Her colors flickered with something the device did not translate. Daniel knew it was shock. That is not possible, she said. Humans are different, Daniel said. We learned to read feelings long before we had machines. We had to. It was how we survived. We look at faces, at movements, at all the small things that others miss. He paused. I saw your colors shift when you thought you were alone. I saw what you were hiding. Valshara's hands trembled. She looked at him like he had just torn open a locked door. What did you see, human? She whispered. Daniel met her eyes with kindness. I saw someone who was very tired of being alone. The princess said nothing. Her controlled colors began to crack. And in the silence of the observation deck, surrounded by the cold light of distant stars, something began to change. Valshara did not run away. Daniel had expected her to. Most people fled when someone saw through their masks. But the princess stayed. She stood by the window with her colors shifting in patterns the translation device could not understand. How long? She asked. How long have you been able to see? Since you arrived, Daniel said. I noticed it during the welcome ceremony. You were smiling, but you were not happy. Valshara laughed. It was a small, broken sound. Among my people, showing true emotions to outsiders is shameful. Our private wavelengths are sacred. They are shared only between bonded pairs or family. I understand, Daniel said. I will not tell anyone what I saw. Why? Valshara turned to face him fully. You could use this information. You could tell your superiors. It would give humans power over the Kyrene. Daniel shook his head. That is not why I spoke to you. I spoke because you look like you needed someone to see you. Really see you. Not your title or your colors. Just you. Valshara stared at him for a long time. Her colors slowly calmed. The dark blues and purples faded, replaced by softer shades that the device translated as cautious interest. You are strange. Human, she said. I have been told that before, Daniel said with a small smile. Over the next several days, Daniel found himself running into the princess more often. At first, he thought it was coincidence. Then he realized she was seeking him out. She would appear at the same events he attended. She would walk past the same corridors. And each time, her colors would shift just slightly when she saw him. She was testing him, waiting to see if he would betray her trust. He never did. On the fourth day, Valshara found him in the station's garden dome. It was a place filled with plants from 100 worlds. Daniel liked to come here to think. The princess sat beside him on a bench under a tree with silver leaves. I need to tell someone, she said quietly. And you are the only one who might understand. Daniel waited. Valshara's colors darkened. I am to be bonded, married, in your words, to a nobleman named Lord Mithun. It is a political arrangement. My family believes it will strengthen our position in the Dominion. But you do not want this, Daniel said. No. Valshara's voice was hard. Mithun is cruel. His public colors are perfect. Polite, noble kind. But I have seen his private wavelengths. He lets them slip when he thinks no one is watching. He is possessive, controlling. He sees me as a prize, not a person. Daniel felt cold anger build in his chest. Have you told your family? I have tried, but they only see his public patterns. They think I am being difficult. They say I will learn to love him after the bonding. Valshara's hands gripped her dress. They do not understand. They cannot see what I see, because they have forgotten how to look, Daniel said. Valshara looked at him with surprise. What do you mean? Your people rely on translation devices and public wavelengths. You have been doing this for thousands of years. Maybe you have forgotten that real seeing takes more than machines. It takes effort, attention, care. Valshara was quiet for a moment. And humans have not forgotten? We never had the machines, Daniel said. We had to learn to see each other the hard way. By paying attention. By making mistakes. By trying again. That sounds difficult. It is. It is. But it is also how we connect. How we understand each other. Daniel turned to look at her. Your people read colors. Humans read everything else. The way someone holds their shoulders. The speed of their breathing. The look in their eyes when they think no one is watching. Valshara's colors shifted to something warm. The device translated it as deep appreciation. You see so much, she said. It must be heavy. Sometimes, Daniel admitted. But I would rather see too much than see nothing at all. The next day, Daniel saw Lord Mithrin for the first time. The nobleman was tall and handsome by Kyrene standards. His colors were brilliant, shifting in patterns that spoke of honor and nobility. The translation device described him as gracious and refined. Daniel hated him immediately. It was not the public colors that Daniel watched. It was everything else. The way Mithrin stood too close to Valshara. The way his hand gripped her arm just a little too tight. The way his eyes followed her with hungry possessiveness. And when Mithrin thought no one was paying attention, Daniel saw his colors flicker. Just for a moment. Dark reds and sickly yellows that the device ignored as noise. Cruelty, greed, contempt. Daniel watched Valshara's hidden colors respond. Fear, disgust, trapped desperation. Nobody else noticed. The diplomat smiled and chatted. The other Kyrene moved in their formal patterns. Only Daniel saw the truth playing out beneath the surface. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He kept thinking about Valshara's face when Mithrin touched her. The way her light dimmed. The way she became smaller. He knew he should stay out of it. This was alien politics. It was not his place. Ambassador Torres had warned him many times about interfering in other species' affairs. But Daniel had spent his whole life helping people who were trapped. He had sat with abuse survivors on Earth. He had heard their stories. He knew what it looked like when someone was being slowly crushed by someone stronger. Valshara was being crushed. The next morning, Daniel was walking to the dining hall when Mithrin stepped in front of him. The nobleman's public colors showed polite curiosity, but his eyes were cold. You are the human who has been speaking with my intended, Mithrin said. Daniel kept his voice calm. Princess Valshara and I have had some conversations, yes. I would suggest you stop. Mithrin leaned closer. His colors stayed controlled, but his voice dropped to a whisper. She belongs to me, and I do not share. Daniel looked into Mithrin's eyes and saw exactly what he expected. A predator wearing the mask of a gentleman. The princess does not belong to anyone, Daniel said. Mithrin's colors flickered with dangerous red. You are nothing human. A primitive creature from a primitive world. Do not think your clumsy empathy means anything here. Daniel smiled. It was not a friendly smile. Maybe you are right, he said. But primitives have a habit of being very stubborn. He walked past Mithrin without looking back. His heart was pounding. He knew he had just made a powerful enemy, but some fights were worth having. The great hall of the Galactic Unity Station had been transformed for the bonding ceremony. Silver curtains hung from the high ceiling. Lights floated in the air like tiny stars. Representatives from dozens of species filled the viewing galleries, all eager to witness a royal Kyrene bonding. Daniel stood near the back of the hall. He wore his formal diplomatic uniform, clean and pressed. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. He had spent the last 3 days preparing. He had studied Kyrene bonding traditions. He had learned the exact words a witness must speak. He had practiced staying calm under pressure. Now all of that preparation would be tested. The ceremony began with music. K-rain instruments played sounds that were half song and half light. Colors danced through the air, creating patterns that told the story of love and unity. Lord Mithun entered from the right side of the hall. His colors blazed with confidence. The translation devices in the room spoke of his honor, his nobility, his devotion. He smiled at the crowd like a man who had already won. Princess Velshara entered from the left. She was beautiful. Her formal robe shimmered with colors that spoke of tradition and duty. But Daniel saw what no one else could see. Beneath her controlled patterns, her private wavelengths screamed with fear. She looked at Daniel once. Just a quick glance. In her eyes, he saw trust. And terror. Daniel gave her the smallest nod. I am here. I will not let you down. The Kyrene king and queen sat on raised thrones at the front of the hall. Their colors radiated pride and satisfaction. They believed they were securing their daughter's future. They had no idea they were handing her to a monster. The officiant was an elderly Kyrene priest. His colors were ancient and formal, patterns that had not changed in thousands of years. We gathered to witness the bonding of Lord Mithun of House Velar and Princess Velshara of the Royal House Kyrene. The priest intoned, "May their colors join in harmony. May their light become one." The ceremony continued with traditional words and ritual movements. Mithun and Velshara stood facing each other. Their colors were supposed to blend together, showing their compatibility. But Daniel noticed that Velshara's colors kept pulling away, like water refusing to mix with oil. Nobody else seemed to notice. Finally, the officiant reached the critical moment. Before the bonding is sealed, I call upon any witness to speak. If any present perceive falsehood or deception in either partner, let them come forward now. Silence filled the hall. This was usually just a formality. In modern times, no one actually challenged a royal bonding. Daniel stepped forward. The crowd gasped. Colors flashed in shock and confusion throughout the room. A human? Challenging a Kyrene bonding? Lord Mithun's controlled colors flickered with rage before he smoothed them back to calm. The king rose from his throne, his colors burning with anger. What is the meaning of this? The king demanded. A human dares to invoke the witness, right? Daniel stood tall. His voice was clear and steady. I am Daniel Carter, diplomatic attaché of the United Earth Government. I claim the ancient right of witness as recognized in Kyrene tradition. I perceive deception in this bonding, and I will speak what I have seen. The hall erupted in noise. Colors flashed everywhere. The officiant raised his hands for silence. The witness right is sacred, the priest said slowly. It cannot be denied, even to an outsider. The human may speak. Mithun stepped forward. His colors showed righteous outrage. This is an insult to my house. This primitive creature cannot possibly perceive our wavelengths. He is lying to disrupt the ceremony. I am not lying, Daniel said calmly. And I can see more than you know. The king's colors were dangerous. Explain yourself, human. What deception do you claim to see? Daniel took a deep breath. This was the moment. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Lord Mithun's public colors show devotion and honor, Daniel began. Your translation devices confirm this. But there are wavelengths your devices do not read. Private wavelengths that your people consider too personal to display. The crowd murmured. Many Kyrenes shifted uncomfortably. Private wavelengths were sacred. I can see those wavelengths, Daniel continued. Not perfectly, but enough. Humans evolved to read emotions without machines. We see patterns that your technology filters out as noise. Impossible, Mithun spat. Is it? Daniel turned to face the nobleman directly. Then explain why your private colors show possessiveness, not love. Explain why they show cruelty, not kindness. Explain why, when you touch Princess Valshara, your hidden wavelengths burn with the desire to control, not to cherish. The hall went completely silent. Mithen's controlled colors began to crack. Dark shades flickered at the edges, visible for just a moment before he forced them back. And the princess, Daniel continued. Her public colors show acceptance and duty, but her private wavelengths tell a different story. They show fear. They show desperation. They show a woman who has been trying to tell her family the truth, but no one would listen because they only see what they want to see. The king looked at his daughter. For the first time, his colors showed uncertainty. Valshara, the king said slowly, is this true? Valshara's controlled patterns began to tremble. Tears formed in her eyes. I have tried to tell you, father, she whispered. So many times. But you only saw his public colors. You never looked deeper. The king's colors shifted to confusion and pain. But our devices, your devices show what people want you to see, Daniel said. They do not show truth. They show performance. And Lord Mithen is very good at performing. Mithen's face twisted with fury. His control finally broke. You know nothing, human. You are insects. Primitive creatures who have only been in space for a few centuries. How dare you lecture us about seeing? His colors exploded with dark reds and sickly yellows. Hatred, contempt, rage, all the things he had, hidden so carefully, were now visible to everyone. The crowd reacted with shock. Other Kyrene stared at Mithen's revealed colors with horror. This was not the noble lord they thought they knew. That, Daniel said quietly, is who he really is. The king rose from his throne. His colors were terrible to behold. Lord Mithen, the king said in a voice like ice, you will explain yourself. But there was nothing Mithen could say. His mask had fallen. His true colors were visible to all Dot, and in that moment, everything changed. The great hall remained frozen as Lord Mithen stood exposed before the entire assembly. His beautiful public colors had shattered completely. Now everyone could see the dark, twisted patterns that lay beneath. Mithen looked around wildly. His eyes found Daniel, and pure hatred burned in them. This is a trick, Mithen snarled. The human has done something. He has poisoned your minds against me. He has done nothing but speak truth, the officiant said. His ancient colors showed deep sadness. Your private wavelengths are visible to all now. You can no longer hide what you are. The king stepped down from his throne. He moved slowly toward his daughter, his colors shifting through confusion, anger, and finally, crushing guilt. Valshara, he said, how long? How long have you known what he truly was? Valshara's tears fell freely now. Since the first time he touched me, father, I felt his private colors. I tried to tell you. But you said I was being foolish. You said I would learn to love him. The king's colors darkened with shame. I did not listen. I saw only what I wanted to see. The political alliance. The strengthening of our house. He reached out and gently touched his daughter's face. I failed you. You did not fail me, Valshara said softly. You simply forgot how to look. The king turned to Daniel. His colors were complex, mixing gratitude with wounded pride. Human, the king said, you claim to see what our devices cannot. You claim to read emotions without technology. How is this possible? Daniel chose his words carefully. Your people have relied on translation devices for thousands of years. They are precise. They are efficient. But they only show what is broadcast publicly. Over time, your people stopped looking for themselves. You trusted the machines to see for you. The king frowned. And humans have not made this mistake. We never had the choice, Daniel said. Humans had to survive without such technology. We had to learn to read each other through tiny signals. A twitch of the eye, a tension in the voice, the way someone holds their body when they are lying. We are not always right. We make mistakes, but we never stop trying to see each other truly. The king was silent for a long moment. Around the hall, other Kyrene listened carefully. Many of them were looking at each other differently now, trying to see beyond the public patterns they had always accepted. "What you describe," the king said slowly, "is something my people once had. Long ago, before the devices. There are old stories of Kyrene who could see truth with their hearts instead of their eyes." He paused. "We thought those were just legends. Maybe they were memories," Daniel said. "Memories of what you used to be." The king nodded slowly. Then he turned to his guards. "Take Lord Mython into custody. He will face judgment for his deception." Mython screamed protests as guards moved toward him. His colors flashed with fury and fear. But there was nowhere to run. His power had been built on lies, and now those lies had crumbled as the guards led Mython away. Several other Kyrenes stepped forward. One elderly female spoke with trembling colors. "Your Majesty, I must confess. Lord Mython threatened my family years ago. I saw his true colors then, but I was afraid to speak. I thought no one would believe me." Another Kyrene came forward. Then another. Story after story emerged. Mython had hurt many people over the years, and all of them had stayed silent because they believed no one would see the truth. The king listened to each testimony. His colors grew heavier with each confession. "So many knew," he said quietly. "So many saw. And yet we did nothing because we trusted our devices more than we trusted each other." When the testimonies ended, the king approached Daniel. The entire hall watched in silence. "Daniel Carter of Earth," the king said formally, "you have done my house a great service. You have saved my daughter from a terrible fate, and you have reminded my people of something we had forgotten." Daniel bowed his head respectfully. "I only spoke what I saw, and that is exactly what makes it remarkable." The king's colors shifted to something warm and bright. "Among my people, there will be a new title for humans. From this day forward, you will be known as Soul Seers, those who remember what the stars forgot." The assembled Kyrene responded with colors of agreement and respect. For the first time in the ceremony, their patterns showed genuine emotion rather than formal performance. Later that evening, after the crowds had dispersed and the hall had emptied, Daniel found himself on the observation deck once more. The stars burned silently outside the window, just as they had on the night he first met Velshara. He heard footsteps behind him. Velshara walked onto the deck. Her formal robes were gone, replaced by simple clothing. Her colors were calm and peaceful. The dark undertones that had haunted her were finally fading. "I wondered if you would be here," she said. "Old habits," Daniel smiled. Velshara stood beside him at the window. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply watched the stars together. "My father wants to open new talks with Earth," Velshara said. "He believes humans have something to teach us, something we lost long ago. And what do you think?" Velshara turned to look at him. Her colors were open now, no longer hiding anything. Daniel saw gratitude, affection, and something deeper. Something that looked like the beginning of love. "I think," she said softly, "that I am grateful a human saw my soul when the stars had gone blind." Daniel felt warmth spread through his chest. That is what humans do. We see each other. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we look away when we should not. But we keep trying. We never stop trying. Velshara moved closer. Her colors wrapped around them both like a gentle embrace. "Will you stay?" she asked. "Here on the station. There is much work to be done. bridges to build between our peoples. And I find that I do not want to do it without you." Daniel looked at the princess. He thought about everything that had brought them to this moment. A chance meeting on an observation deck. A hidden pain that needed to be seen. A risk that was worth taking. "Yes," he said. "I will stay." Velshara smiled. It was the first real smile he had ever seen from her. Her colors bloomed with joy. They stood together at the window, watching the stars. Two beings from different worlds, who had found something rare and precious. Not translation, devices, or technology. Just a simple, ancient gift of truly seeing another person. And in that seeing, they had found each other.